Hi there, everyone. John here from Bethel Live. Great to have you with us. This week I got the chance to catch up with Dai Woolridge. Many of you will know Kath and Dai really well. They've had a ministry, very powerful ministry right across this city and this nation, which has been a real blessing to us and to me and to many for many, many years. Dai is endlessly creative, almost sort of annoyingly so. He gets there first on many, many great ideas that he has. And he's just written a book called God's Brilliantly Big Creation Story, available through the Bible Society and SPCKN, something like that. And I was keen to catch up with him about where that idea came from, but also more generally, just as somebody who is endlessly creative, where does that drive come from? Where does that energy come from? How do you marshal some of that and direct it? So it was great to chat to him. I really hope you enjoy the conversation too. So Dai, it's so great to have you with us. Thank you so much for joining us. I noticed you've set up your massive microphone there. From this angle, it's almost as big as your head. Is that how big it is in real life?
Yeah, no, it's bigger.
It's
Yeah,
bigger.
it's kind of basically it's half the size of this room. But yeah,
And
I'm just trying to keep up with you, JVD. So that's my thinking. I thought I'd get the mic.
yeah, and
It's
obviously, the more books you publish, the bigger the head gets, the bigger
so the bigger the microphone has to get. Yeah, absolutely.
But no, thank you for joining us because I know
Pleasure.
last Sunday was your the book launch of your
Mm.
latest book. Is this book number 5?
Do you know what? I I honestly don't even know thinking about it. I think, yeah, so I think the kind of key with this one, I mean, obviously I've written a book of performance poetry, written a book about grief, and I've written a few books with Bible Society, kind of children's stories for Christmas and Easter.
Mm, mm,
So it's not the first children's book I've written, but
mm.
it feels quite kind of different because it's published with SPCK, and it's the kind of first sort of children's story in my own right, really. So yeah, I've just been really thankful for the ones I've done with Bible Society, but I think to do this one kind of feels different and
Mm,
special. So
mm.
really grateful for it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's God's brilliantly big creation story.
Do you know what? I think you're one of the first people to actually say the title right,
I've been practicing before we came on. I've been.
including myself. No.
And so where did the idea come from?
I think it it was a good friend of mine actually called Bob Hartman,
Mm,
who's a prolific storyteller, children's author.
mm,
I'm sure he's blessed
mm,
many people's homes up and down the country at bedtime, and yeah, he just kind of he basically kind of put me in touch with SBCK, and we kind of came up with a conversation pretty quickly that wouldn't it be great if we could kind of bring the creation story to life
mm,
using
mm.
words essentially. And I think because spoken word is one of the kind of modes of communication I really enjoy,
Mm,
not just the words written down, but how they sound when they're spoken to
mm,
life.
mm,
I
mm.
think there was just kind of correlation with how God spoke the world into existence.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I think pretty quickly, I think myself and the publisher just kind of felt like this would be a great story to capture
Mm, mm,
through spoken words. So kind of so I kind of just wanted to wax lyrical with my alliteration, and hearing the sounds kind of pop when they're spoken, trying to
yeah,
think
yeah.
about rhythm and rhyme, and just thinking about how kids can really enjoy speaking the story to life,
Mm,
and
mm.
yeah, kind of get lost in the imagination of it all, almost as if they're joining in with God.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, speaking creation into existence. So
Mm,
it
mm,
was kind of, as an idea, it wasn't like a light bulb moment for me, essentially. I think the kind of publisher approached me and was like, would you be up for this?
mm.
And yeah, it just kind of all fitted together. So I really enjoyed the process, and yeah, just stoked with how it's turned out. So here's one I made earlier.
Nice,
Got a
nice.
copy right there. So
Six
um,
ninety nine available from all good bookshops.
You have prepped for this meeting, mate, haven't you? Yeah,
I've
you
read
can
the
say the
website.
name, you know the price. I'm really impressed.
I'm just getting it out while it's fresh in my mind. Yeah. Yeah.
Lush.
No, I love that, because I think there is this thing about God's creative power in his word, that his words create worlds, and then
Yeah, for sure.
you see that in Jesus, the way he will speak to people that others don't even notice or ignore, that he's speaking life into people. That's really powerful.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. And I think, I mean, I don't know if you've been watching The Chosen, but we've been really enjoying it. This kind of, yeah, Netflix-esque series, kind of journeying through Jesus as he kind of kicks off his ministry. But there's an episode in season 2 where, yeah, he kind of references himself as the word, and they kind of they show this scene with John having this conversation with Jesus, and John having this kind of eureka moment of, wow, this is crazy. And I love that as well, when you kind of look at this and how we kind of reference Jesus as the word, how it says that in John 1. I think it kind of makes it even more mind-blowing, doesn't it?
And I guess for a lot of people, one of the things that I think people enjoyed about lockdown, certainly lockdown 1.0, was the whole experience of going out for a walk deliberately once a day, not taking that freedom for granted. And there's a lot of bird song, when the traffic died down and the planes stopped flying overhead. And I think we're noticing that sort of explosion of life around us, and that we're part of something bigger. And that's probably been one of the gifts, actually, within the struggle of lockdown. There's been a gift, isn't it? And that's been one of them, definitely.
Yeah, for sure. I think you're right. It's been a moment for creation to breathe again, isn't it? To kind of just get its breath back. And yeah, you're right. Lockdown 1.0, we were blessed with beautiful weather. People were kind of. I was growing 27 tomato plants within lockdown 1, driving calf crazy. But yeah, kind of hearing the sound of creation find their voice, hearing the birds. Yeah, it's beautiful.
And so when you come to a sort of an idea like that, and I know this time around it sort of started with the publisher and Bob coming to you, but how do you like the thread of that idea, to find ways of like, I love your description of words popping, and how they sound. I know Dylan Thomas talked about loving the words, didn't he? And that a poem on the page is only half a poem. That is
That's
written
really
to
good.
be
Yeah.
written to be spoken. But how do you, like? Is there anything that makes you go, all right, this is a book, this is, or something else that goes, oh, that'll work really well as a video or as a blog? What kind of, how do you take that idea and make it into something else?
Yeah, great question. Yeah, I mean, with the creation story, it's such a poetic account of the origins of life, isn't it? Kind of God kicking things off, with the power of his word, speaking worlds with his words, as you were saying. And I think you've kind of got this just incredible account that tracks through creation. And I think it kind of, for me, it's really helpful because there's a beginning, middle, and an end with, within the story of the creation account. You've got Genesis 1, and then you've got Genesis 2, which is, you kind of got the big picture of, and then it kind of zooms in for Genesis 2. And yeah, I think when you've kind of got that structure already in place, I think what I really enjoy then, is to try and just kind of retell it in a new way, that would hopefully land with kind of kids, with children, with parents today. And so then it's about, okay, how do I kind of, not kind of, out with the old, in with the new, but how do I kind of, just revamp, kind of reshape and share it with a slightly different tone? How can I use, the sounds of words? How can I use poetic devices like alliteration, like rhyme, like rhythm, um, to create this sense of, life kind of coming together? So I think that's what I really enjoyed with this one, was just kind of building a real sense of energy, of rhythm, of life. And I think you're absolutely right. It's something I'm passionate about with, you know, a poem can be beautiful when it's read in your mind, but when it's spoken out, it can take a new lease of life, really.
Yeah, yeah,
And I
yeah, yeah,
think the great thing is when you write something with the intention of what would it sound like if I spoke this out. So
yes,
for
yeah,
me, I perhaps might play with, some alliteration, the kind of the beginning sounds of words, brilliantly big being one of them.
yeah, yeah,
Uh, and and yeah, it's kind of hearing the sounds of these words, and you kind of think, okay, this sounds good, and you kind of build on the rhythm from there. And yeah, it's kind of playing really to try and kind of communicate this incredible story. And I kind of feel, yeah, grateful in the sense that, the story of God is so magnificent. I can't do it justice, but I think I enjoy the challenge, if that makes sense, of
yeah,
trying
yeah,
to
yeah,
kind of reshare the story.
yeah, yeah,
And yeah, it's kind of going back to, what Jewish kind of tradition was in terms of sharing the stories. It was kind of passed on orally, wasn't it? And I think there's a
absolutely,
real
yeah,
sense that
yeah,
it'd be great to kind of recapture
mm,
some of that. Jesus was a storyteller. So I think there's a
yeah,
real
yeah,
relationship with not just words written down, but what they sound like when they're spoken out.
yeah, yeah,
And I think what I had in my mind was, I just want this to feel just vibrant and full of life as we're
mm,
kind of painting this picture of the story God's created,
mm, mm,
but then kind of land it with where the kind of pinnacle, where the apple of God's eye, we're
mm,
image bearers, aren't we? So I think when you kind of when you build something up, um, and then say, look how magnificent this is, and then say, you're even better than that,
mm,
it's more striking than just going, you're the best thing in creation.
yeah, yeah,
So I think it's kind of, yeah, it's using poetic devices, it's playing, it's kind of seeing the structure and then thinking, how can I kind of bring that to life through poetic devices?
mm,
How can I engage the mind?
mm,
Yeah, and stir the imagination and stir awe
mm,
and inspiration that points people back to God. So that's the kind of heart of it,
mm.
really.
And there's something in there about the way that a story can do that in a way that a statement never could. There's
Mm,
that you experience something of a journey, and it's amazing actually that if you look at what sort of Jesus left us with, it wasn't a formal written creed or but it was all these stories of lives
mm,
transformed, and then the community of the story really, and that story continuing, and the amount of stuff that you learn in life through someone's
mm.
story or by just sharing stories together. There's something very natural about that, isn't there? That we're part of a story, and that those
Yeah, for
stories are
sure.
important. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, yeah, we're relational people, aren't we? And
Mm,
we connect with people, and yeah, we make sense of the world by comparing it to stuff that we know. And I think,
mm, mm,
you saw Jesus do that, didn't you?
mm,
He revealed the Father by using using metaphor, using stories,
mm,
using agricultural references
mm,
that
mm.
the people, his audience would understand. And I think, yeah, using kind of comparison and stuff like that is great because it gives us something to connect to, something we
Yes.
understand, and then we
Yeah.
go, oh,
Yeah.
okay, I understand that
Yeah.
a little
Yeah.
bit more. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And it can give you a new language to describe something, can't it? And I think A lot of times that's what Jesus is doing with his stories is, to trying to capture how God feels about people through, for example, the father of the prodigal son. Um,
For sure.
and there's a sense in which describing that as a homecoming and a reunion,
Mm,
that picture is just beautifully perfect, and it gives you a longing and a language for something that possibly we couldn't begin to describe without the power of story.
mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think you're spot on. I think you're spot on, and it resonates with us because we can put ourselves into the story, can't we? And
Mm, mm,
we can understand. Yeah, love becomes that much more real because
mm.
we can connect with it on
Yeah.
a emotional, relational level. Not just It's not just a concept, then, is it?
Yeah. Yeah.
It
Yeah.
becomes something that, yeah, we can not just get in our head, but
Mm,
realize in our heart. And I think, yeah, I think when you kind of when you do both, when you kind of engage the
mm,
heart and the head together, I
mm,
think,
mm, mm.
yeah, there's something really profound in that, isn't there?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So in terms of all this stuff, that you've done and are doing, I know probably when you're working on a project, all the energy is going into it. It feels like it's the best thing you've ever written and all that kind of stuff. But is there a project that you would really love to take on? Is there something that you think one day my sort of opus magnus, my sort of I'll take the day off when I've come up with that idea. Is there something that's on the horizon for you?
So, yeah, great question. I think it's a really good practice to, yeah, to try and go out of your comfort zone.
Mm,
I think,
mm,
and I think when you kind of creating stuff, and when you're kind of in that process, when you try and do something that maybe you've not done before, or
mm,
maybe you
mm,
don't know how it's going to land. And I think with creativity, with how you tell stories, so much of it is subjective, isn't it? There's no
mm,
kind of
mm.
definitive that is good or that is not good.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
kind of
yeah,
part of it is so much as people's preference, isn't it? And
yeah, yeah.
I think that's part of the creative process that is difficult, but is also a really good place to be. Um, yeah, is when you don't know if something's going to land. But in
Mm,
terms of like specific projects, yeah, I mean, Hamilton was something that Kath and I were really inspired by,
he was
and
all right with it. He did well. He did all right with it.
he did do all right with it. But like Kath and I were kind of quite late to the party, so
Mm, mm,
we kind of, I think we only heard it um, a couple of years ago. And I think we'd heard of it before then. Like, people were mentioning this Hamilton thing. We're like, oh, okay, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I'm sure it's great. Yeah, sure.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
And yeah, we could have checked it out a couple of years ago. And I remember Kath and I were in a meeting and we were like, yeah, we just want to do something like really kind of new,
yeah,
like
yeah.
Hamilton. And someone was like, Hamilton's been out a while. And we were like, oh, all right. but I think despite kind of being late to the party, yeah, just love how creative it was and how he used words so well
Oh,
to
yeah,
tell a story. And I
yeah.
think, just to kind of, you learn through it as well. Kind
Mm,
of,
mm,
he taught history through creativity, through spoken word, through
yeah,
rap,
yeah,
through prose, and you kind of look at that and go, oh wow, yeah, that's great. And so
yeah, yeah.
I think one day that'd be something I'd love to try and take on, as a kind
Mm,
of, yeah, full blown musical. But I don't feel I don't feel like I've got the capability, let
yeah,
alone the capacity to do it
yeah, yeah.
right now. But I think to ask those questions,
Mm, mm,
blue sky,
mm,
what I love to try and do,
mm,
is a good question. I think that would be something I'd love to do.
mm.
Yeah. And also and also recite the whole Bible, learn it off by the whole Bible.
Mate, that would be
Yeah.
awesome. I mean, it would take a while, but it would be awesome.
Yeah. I think,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, I think, yeah, it's good that we kind of, we've got eternity to look forward to, isn't it? I might be able to give it a crack then. I think I might be It might be too much of a stretch to try and do it now, but
That's like the after bucket list. That's amazing. I've
that's
never
it.
never really thought
That's
about it.
it. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. No, I
You've
love.
got to. You got to be doing both buckets. Got to be thinking both buckets.
That's the next book. Think about both buckets. There you go. You touched on something there. I think that's quite interesting about you learn in the process of
Mm,
writing. And I remember reading ages ago about C.S. Lewis has got this great essay called On Writing. I think it is not a great title, not very creative, but the essay's brilliant. But he talks about how if something's clear in his mind, if he understands something, he's got no need to write about it.
mm,
But if there's something he really wants to explore, for him, he'll pick up a notepad and start writing.
mm.
And he said,
That's really good.
"We don't write in order to be understood. We write in order to understand."
I think that's spot on. Yeah,
And there's something about the
yeah.
imagination in that process, isn't there? That sometimes you're trying to capture, whether it's a specific moment or a
Mm,
specific emotion or whatever it is, and you find yourself in the flow writing down something that you didn't really know you knew before that,
mm,
and you look at it and go, "Well, God, only you only really
mm.
know where that came from," And I love that about the process as well. That it's revealing as well as
Yeah.
you're trying to reveal something. There's something is revealed in the process. Yeah,
I
do
no,
you
I
find
I
that?
think I think I think both you and C.S. Lewis are spot on with that one. So
Well, yeah, he's all right. I'm working on it.
uh, yeah, no, I think I started writing um to try and kind of get a better handle on what the Bible was saying. I think
Mm,
I can't remember where it was, but it might have been kind of as I was going through. It might have been a moment in Acts. So it might have been like a part of Romans or something. And I think I was kind of trying to get my head around what it was saying.
mm, mm.
And I found the way that I could better understand was to try and kind of go, okay, how would I kind of phrase this
Yeah, yeah,
if
yeah.
I was saying it? And I
Mm,
think as you do that, you kind of, yeah, you're on this kind of process of creativity and understanding, and aren't you? And I
mm,
think
mm,
what comes from that, um, yeah, absolutely, the point of it is for you to get a better understanding first. And I think
mm,
that's where a lot of my writing comes from, is from that space of wanting to better know
mm,
who God is and
mm,
wanting to understand to a greater depth, what salvation means
mm,
because of who he is and what he did.
mm,
And it's that kind of whole head knowledge, heart knowledge, isn't it? That,
mm,
I don't want it just to kind of sit up here as something that I, comprehend intellectually. I want it to kind of resonate with me. And I think
mm, mm,
that's kind of what inspires me, I guess, is to try and, yeah, connect more with the Father. And I think,
mm, mm,
yeah, I think writing is a great way to do that.
mm,
Because I think in some ways you do write first for yourself and
mm.
and then for others. Yeah, well, that's good.
Yeah. Well, we get the privilege, mate, of reading your stuff. So thanks for all that you do and think through and share. It's a real blessing. Thank you.
Oh, my pleasure, mate. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Thank you.
So, and thanks for your time. Everyone go check out God, let me don't get it wrong now after doing so well earlier. God's brilliantly big creation story. You
Yeah.
can buy it either upside down or the right way up. It's up to you. It doesn't
Do you
matter.
know what? I thought it was the right way up, but I thought I was going to be funny by turning it upside down. But it was the opposite, was it? Great.
Thanks ever so much, mate. Good to chat to you.
Absolute pleasure. Thanks.
God bless.
Bless you, buddy.